Hi, my name is Malcolm. Welcome to my workshop. Today I'll be taking you through some of the steps involved in transforming a fallen branch from a tree or a log, maybe found on the ground, into one of my unique talking sticks. The process kicks off, of course, with the choice of tree wood, and today we'll be working with wood from the humble holly tree. Now, the ancient Celts knew a thing or two about holly. The holly tree, they believed it provided them with protection and good fortune, and used to plant them near to their homes because they felt it protected them against lightning strikes. And there may be some truth to this because the spines on the leaves can collectively conduct lightning. Now, this piece of wood came from a tree that was walloped in a big storm a few years ago, and it's had time to dry out, which is very important. Hardwoods take a couple of years to get down to a moisture content of 10% or less, which is what you're looking for, so that's good. The first step is to split this log into smaller pieces. And here we are. So you can see that the wood grain is very light in colour. It's one of the lightest woods available. You don't often find wood from holly up for sale because it's blooming hard to dry out without causing stains or splits along its length. These stains come from a microscopic fungus which grows in the tree but doesn't develop in the living tree, but appears once the wood is cut and exposed to air. This piece isn't too badly affected actually, which is great, but we won't know exactly how it will look until we've finished the job. Next, I need to shape the selected piece of wood. People often ask how I decide on the shape of the finished stick, and in truth I haven't got a clue. I'm guided by the grain and the varying hardness of the wood, so in some way the wood itself chooses its own shape. So I'm about halfway through shaping this stick, and you can see that the grain is very fine in here, so you probably won't see some of the lines I've been feeling and following. But it's already looking very different from the original piece of wood from whence it came. So I'm about halfway through it, I think, at the minute, and a lot more work to do. So the wood is now starting to show its true shape, and there's two things that are quite exciting about it really. One is that the wood is so very white, which is just nice to work with. Most woods are variants on beige and dark and blacks and things, but so few woods are as light as this, and it's getting lighter as we get down into the core wood. The second thing is, and I just don't know if you can see it, but there's a band running down there, a band like a little tramway, and experience tells me that is, well, it's I'm not sure what it's caused by. I think it's really the densest part of the wood, but I know that when I work through to sanding that and go through many different grits and finish off with really fine grits, that will come up to a polish, and on that band will have a bit of a shimmer. It's called chatoyance. And you get it in with gemstones and jewels, and rarely in wood, unless you really produce the really kind of high shine on it with lots and lots and hours of sanding, which is what I'll do. So you can see the shape now really coming into being, and it's already starting to feel really quite tactile as you run your hands along it. Just to remind you what it did look like. That's what it's going to come from. So you can see what I mean by the colour of the wood. As we've got to the heart of the wood, it's lighter, which is just lovely. So we'll start the sanding process now, and this is part of the alchemy towards getting this stick to look beautiful. So I'm not going to say too much about it, apart from I use about 10 different grades of sandpaper, and you'll see what happens when I work my way through that. Do you know what? I swear my fingers were a little bit longer before I started making and sanding talking sticks. It does take an awful long time to get rid of every imperfection, and I think I'm nearly there now, but just not quite, so more work to do. So today is an interesting day. It's March 20th. It's the spring or vernal equinox, which is slap bang in the middle of winter and summer, and it's making me think, should I embed a small piece of oak into this stick? Why? Well, in ancient Celtic beliefs, holly was associated with the Holly King, who was in constant scrap with his brother, the Oak King, for what you might call seasonal supremacy, with the Holly King reigning during the dark half of the year, autumn and winter, and the Oak King during the light half of the year, spring and summer. If I decide not to add a small piece to this of oak to this stick to give it more harmony, more balance, light and dark, then maybe my next stick should be made from a combination of oak and holly. We'll see. So why am I leaving this knot in the talking stick? Knots are imperfections from branches that cause living wood growing to grow around them, and these imperfections are just part of what makes wood a beautiful material to work with. A bit like people, I suppose. We're all imperfect, are we not? But we all have our beauty if you look hard enough and look deep enough. So the next step is another exciting step, really, in that it's about choosing the crystals and adornments that are going to be attached to this stick, which is now officially called protection, with due deference to massive attack. It's not a quick process, and part of the alchemy which goes to make these sticks beautiful, or at least I'd like to think so. So we're now about 3/4 of the way through to sanding this stick, and you can see how it's showing its true colours now. It's had a hard life actually, where branches have broken off it. You can see now clearly that chatoyan slope running all the way down on that really compressed edge. So it's starting to look and feel beautiful. But when you get to the really fine grits, then it starts to show every little blemish. There you go, look, and there's one there. So I have to go back to the original grit and then go through all the grits again. But that's part of the fun of making this stick. I think it's certainly a stick of protection. It's had to protect itself from the weather and goodness knows what. Many branches broken off and some healed and some haven't. So it's going to be I think it may be a protective healing stick, this. And I'm already thinking about some of the stones that I'll embed in it. Certainly amethyst, the kind of king of the protective stones. But anyway, more to do.